Don't You Cry, a Marvel fanfiction written by I_am_Iron Man. The link for this fanfiction will be in the description box below, so I encourage you all to go check it out. Rhodey was sitting on the couch opposite to Tony. Tony was laying down on the other couch, with Peter resting atop his chest. Peter was still awake, but he was silent as he held Tony's shirt. One of the major reasons why Peter was quiet, it was because of the light that the arc reactor emitted. Sometimes he would just stare at it, not really doing anything. It made Tony feel weird how Peter could find comfort in his arc reactor. The three of them were sitting in the living room, watching movies. Since Tony was rescued from Afghanistan, Rhodey would try and do anything to make his friend feel better once again. At the moment, they were watching Tarzan. It was one of the movies that both of them really liked when they were younger. They would watch it in their MIT days, and Tony would always sing along to all the songs. Now that Tony is Peter, he has a good excuse to continue on watching Disney movies. Since it's been a long time since they last watched it, both of them forgot how the movie started. They forgot how emotional they would get when they watched it. Seeing Tarzan's parents doing everything they could to protect their son always made them feel sentimental. Just as I was watching the part where the gorillas were about to lose their only son, that made Rhodey turn to look at Tony. That's when he saw him not only hugging Peter tightly, but also crying as he watched the movie. Rhodey didn't say anything, looking between the movie and his best friend. After all, he didn't want to embarrass him. That's the part where the mom gorilla was able to escape from the jaguar with Tarzan, and he could see Tony somewhat relaxing. His hold on Peter not as tight as it was before. When the second song of the movie started, he could hear Tony singing along with it. He sang in a very soft voice that was hard for Rhodey to hear him. Turning to look at his friend, he saw that Tony was still crying. Now, Peter was peacefully sleeping on his chest, small hands still holding Tony's shirt tightly. He could understand why Tony was feeling this way. When they first watched the movie, they would always feel sad during those parts. But now that Tony is his son, he can understand why they act that way, since now Tony has two boys that he loves most and would do anything to protect them. Rhodey stood up from the couch and walked over to Tony and sat on the armrest. He looked at him, saw that he wasn't crying anymore, although he still had tear tracks running down his cheeks. Holding Tony's hand and staying on top of Peter's back, Rhodey squeezed tightly while looking at Tony. "Don't worry, Tony. I'll do everything in my power to protect Peter. I wouldn't let anyone hurt him." Tony gave him a watery smile and slowly began to sit up, moving as slow as he can, trying not to disturb the sleeping Peter. Once he sat up, Rhodey gave him a one-armed hug. Resting his forehead against Tony's stomach, Tony began to cry again, but this time he was smiling. "Thank you, honey bear."